Hey guys, today I'm going to go through how to use basic operations, your plus, minus, divide and multiply to solve algebraic equations. So let's get right into it. So let's look at this equation. This is a basic equation. We have one variable, we have x. So 5 is equals to x plus 6 over 2 minus 3x. Now, if I ask you what is the first thing that you should do towards solving this equation, my guess is your answer is most probably move the 3x to the left side of the equation, and since it's negative on the right, it will become positive on the left. No, that is not it. Negative 3x doesn't magically become positive 3x when you move it over. Now don't get me wrong, if you actually understand the operation, if you actually understand what you're doing, and then in your head you think, okay, I need to move this there, that's fine. But most of my students don't. So what are we doing actually? What are we trying to do? Now, before we get to moving the negative 3x, what I always advise my students to do is, if there is a fraction, we don't like fractions. Fractions are irritating to deal with. So we get rid of the fraction first whenever possible. So for example, in this case, this is very easy to get rid of this fraction. Look at the denominator. Denominator is 2. So how do we get rid of a fraction? Let me give you an example. If I had a over b multiplied by b, what would happen here? The b divided by b, we would get 1 and 1. b would be eliminated and this would just be a. So if we look carefully, by multiplying the fraction with the denominator, what we've done is we have effectively gotten rid of the fraction, and now it is no longer a fraction. So now the question will become, where do we multiply the 2? A lot of my students will say, okay, then we can do this times 2. No, you cannot do that. You have to remember that this is an equation. An equation is like a balance. The left hand side of an equation, left hand side must be equals to the right hand side. The left hand side and the right hand side are exactly the same thing. That is to say, this whole thing will equals to 5, will be 5. The value of x plus 6 over 2 minus 3x is 5. So the principle here when we are dealing with equations is, whatever operation you are performing on one side of the equation, in order to maintain the balance, so let's say you perform an addition on the right, you must perform the same addition on the left. If you perform a subtraction on the right, you must perform the same subtraction on the left to maintain the value. So that left hand side will always be equal to right hand side. This is the basic principle. That's all. So how do we apply this principle? So again, our goal here was to eliminate the denominator, which means we need to multiply by 2. So how do we multiply by 2? What do we multiply by 2? Now you can only perform operations to the whole side. You cannot pick one term to perform your operation. For example, we cannot pick x plus 6 over 2 to multiply with 2. That doesn't work, right? So when we do operations, we must multiply the whole side. So that means we must multiply this whole thing by 2. You need to remember this is an equation, balance. Whatever operation you perform on the right hand side, you must perform on the left hand side as well. So that means we must multiply 5 by 2 also. Now it is balanced. So let's go on to the next step. This will give us 10 on the left hand side, and this is equals to, so how do we perform this multiplication? This is when you open the bracket, you must multiply each term inside the bracket. So you have to multiply with this and multiply with this separately. So 2 times x plus 6 over 2. Now the whole reason we did this was to get rid of the denominator. So if we just do, let me just do this separately to show you. So x plus 6 over 2 multiplied by 2. Now 2 and 2 divided to get 1. All we are left with is x plus 6. So here we have x plus 6 and then negative 3x times 2. So we get negative 6x minus 6x. So before we go any further, let's simplify the right hand side. You can see the right hand side can be simplified because we have x minus 6x. So x minus 6x is negative 5x. So we put equals to. Now if you don't write anything on the left hand side, it is assumed that we are following whatever was before. That means what is here is actually 10. It is understood. There is no need to write it down. So 10 is equals to x minus 6x is negative 5x plus 6. Now 6, there's nothing to simplify. Alright, so let me just write the 10 down here to make it simple. So what do we do here? So this is where a lot of you will say we need to move the 6 to the left. But remember, there's no such thing in mathematics. There's no such thing as moving. You must understand what operation you are actually performing. So the goal here is to actually get rid of positive 6. Now how do you get rid of plus 6? Plus 6, in order to get rid of it, all we have to do is minus 6. So remember, we are performing the operation to the whole side. You cannot choose a single term to perform the operation. So when we minus 6 on the right side of the equation, again, it's all about balance. Whatever operation you perform on the right side, you must perform on the left side as well. So if you had minus 6 on the right side, then we need to minus 6 on the left side as well. So what does this leave us with? 10 minus 6 is 4 equals to negative 5x plus 6 minus 6. So here we have negative 5x plus 6 minus 6 is 0. So this is gone. We have eliminated 6 from the right hand side of the equation by performing the operation minus 6 on both sides. Now that that's done, generally when we want to solve for x, we want x to be the subject of the equation. So now x is on the right hand side of the equation. Again, remembering that this is an equation, left hand side is equals to right hand side. That also means right hand side is equals to left hand side. So here we can switch the sides. This is not a problem because they are the same thing. Left equals to right, right equals to left. It doesn't matter how you write it. So here we can do negative 5x equals to 4. Alright, now we want to find x. So we need to get rid of negative 5. How do we get rid of negative 5? So if you look at this term here, this is negative 5 times x. How do we get rid of negative 5? We can get rid of negative 5. Since this is a multiplication, we can get rid of negative 5 by dividing by negative 5. So once again here, negative 5 will be eliminated and you will be left with x. So when it is a multiple, then all you have to do is divide by the multiple. So let's do that. Let's divide by negative 5. Now remember, this is an equation. Whatever operation you perform on the left side must be performed on the right side as well. And that means this will be divided by negative 5 too. And so what we are left with is, on the left side we have x. X is equals to negative 4 over 5. And this is the answer, negative 4 over 5. So you see how we've solved this. Focus on the fact that it is a balance. Whatever operation you perform on one side must be performed on the other as well. Now let's take a look at another example. So let's say we had this 5x over x plus 2 equals to 3. Now again, you will say we can just move the x plus 2 up and multiply. Now this is not how it works. So what operation do we want to perform here? Again, what we actually want to do is, we want to get rid of the denominator. When we want to get rid of the denominator, all we have to do is multiply the whole equation by the denominator. So how do we do that here? How does that look like? So here, this whole thing multiplied by x plus 2. And then whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other as well. So we perform the same operation on the other side. So this will be times x plus 2. So again, this is eliminated. We have successfully eliminated the denominator. And on the right side, this is a bracket, multiply each term inside the bracket. So what we have is 5x is equals to 3x plus 6. So again, there's no moving here. What we want to do is we want to eliminate 3x from the right side of the equation. So what do we do? How to get rid of 3x? Now, we cannot divide by 3x, because if you divide by 3x, remember, we have to perform the operation on the whole for the whole side. So you will be dividing 6 with 3x as well, and that's not going to help us. So what we want to do is actually subtract 3x minus 3x. Whatever we do on the one side must be done on the other as well. So minus 3x. So what we're left with is 2x is equals to 3x minus 3x. 3x is eliminated. So all we have is 6. Now again, you can see this is similar to our earlier question. This is a multiple here. So we have 2x. We want to get rid of 2. What do? Since this is multiply, all we have to do is divide. Divide by 2. So you can see here this is easily eliminated. And therefore we will be left with x is equals to 6 divided by 2, which is 3. If you're learning something so far, guys, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. So this is how we do basic operations. Just keep in mind that these are equations. When we have equations, left is equals to right. Whatever operation you perform on one side, you must perform on the other. You cannot perform operation on individual terms. You have to perform the operation to the whole side. So I hope this has been helpful, guys. So again, if you've enjoyed this, please do hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. I'll be producing at least one video a week. See you in the next video.